What's up YouTube, Capital G here. Got some pretty clean and exciting duels for you guys to check out, including this first one where the ending is going to be pretty damn spicy. I'm talking about a 200 IQ play that I probably would have messed up on. I don't think that I would have actually known in the moment to actually do that play. We got Baby Raccoons down here at the bottom. Shoutouts for running Nimble Manga in 2019. I remember this card from when I was a teenager. I'm almost certain that this came out of Magic Ruler alongside Giant Germ, which is basically the same card. It's just the burn version. This one gives you life points. He's playing against Banish.Deck. Banish.Deck obviously has the power to one-shot you with Grimmaju, but it also has the ability to gain, sometimes close to 50,000 life points and really put the opponent, especially if they're playing a slower deck, in a position where they can never surmount that. All you have to do is get to your soul absorptions early, activate things like Pot of Desires, Eater of Millions, and sometimes Necroface if you're lucky, and you can pretty much get there. So Soul Absorption is activated, draws into a second copy. Now all he needs to do is banish his Necroface, gain 1 billion life points. Same thing can be done with Eater of Millions. You just banish your entire extra deck. And actually, yeah, he hits one Necroface off of the other Necroface. So he's gaining 10,000 life points like every time that happens. And I believe that, again, he will go for Eater of Millions, banish your entire extra deck, just gain even more life points. I think 7,500, so 15,000 altogether. He's going to kaiju his opponent because, attacking in the face downs, and if you're playing Grimmaju, what part of the game is that? Like, you definitely don't want to do that. And you can see just off pretty much his first turn, he has the ability to one-shot his opponent relatively easily, and even if it does backfire, no chance your opponent's going to kill you or OTK you if you having 45,000 life points. Grimmaju is sitting at 15k roughly, so the Lightning Strike Kaiju, he can one-shot that easily, but he does have the Storming Mirror Force, so at least he buys himself a turn, and he doesn't really get that much out of it. I mean, the Nimble Manga, when it's destroyed in battle, it gives you 1,000 life points. That's not going to stop him from getting one shots by, a copy of Grimmaju that's like 15,000 attack. I believe that he just set one and then passed. Now, he does give his opponent Lava Golem. I think he just wants to keep monsters in attack mode so he can summon Grimmaju and he can attack over that. Like, you never want to be attacking into face downs. He's going to summon the Ronin Raccoon, which is cool because he gets a 3,000 attack token. The problem is, the battle damage is just inconsequential. I don't even think he needed to summon the Battle Fader because, dude, you're sitting on 45,000 life points. Like, I mean, come on now. The damage, you taking 7 grand in that battle phase, your opponent's not going to be able to do anything. Grimmaju Part 2, but that's going to be stopped by the Kaiju. And this is the one problem that these Grimmaju decks sometimes deal with. They'll have 1 billion life points, but with Necroface, especially if they hit a Necroface off of another one, their deck gets so freaking shallow so quick. It's very similar to like Dangers, where you're burning through your entire deck in kind of like your first turn. Now he does have DD Dynamite. Maybe he can do some damage off there. Lava Golem, he tries to attack into the Lava Golem. This time he gets interrupted by Impermanence, and now I think that his win con, maybe he has to go ahead and go for Necroface and try to shuffle this stuff back, try to get back to the Grimmajus, because he has pretty much lost his ability to use Grimmaju in this duel. But I guess maybe he can just try to win in another way. I'm thinking you normal summon the Necroface. Now this was weird. I don't know why he did that. He had 2 cards left in his deck, and he opts to use Allure of Darkness, which means he 100% has to win this turn. But again, he has no access to Grimmaju, so that was just weird to me that he would go ahead and do that. I believe he is going to summon Necroface. That's going to get hit with Solemn Warning, and he is going to respond with, okay, I guess he's not going to respond. Maybe it's going to be used during his opponent's turn. Hits him with the DD Dynamite. And he says, Cap G, you fool. It doesn't even matter if I don't have a deck. I'm still going to win. My opponent has Lava Golem. It's going to trigger. He has 500 life points. It's GG no re. This is the 200 IQ play, guys. What you do is you flip over Called by the Grave. You banish the Lava Golem in your opponent's graveyard. Now the Lava Golem can't actually burn you. It can't trigger, and you can actually deck your opponent out. That is the Achilles heel of these banished decks. They start off really fast, but they can sometimes deck themselves out. They don't fight through back row particularly well either. I mean, sometimes you're going to have dead draws like Kaijus, and you're going to get things like Pot of Desires once you've already gotten to like the threshold of you only having like 15 cards left in your deck. Second duel, and this one's going to be pretty dang grindy, is actually featuring Fish OTK. This deck was pretty popular back in the 5Ds days. It's so bizarre, and I almost can't believe this, that Big Fish, as I like to call it, or Super Ancient DC Coelacanth, this card actually came out in Fan of Darkness, and it was an ultra rare, and I believe it came out in Ultimate as well, but it's so crazy that this is a Fan of Darkness card when, you know, Fan of Darkness was all about the dark attribute, and they made this an ultra rare out of that set. Didn't catch on until 5Ds because it was used for like the Colossal Armory Arm OTK, and then they had to like change the way that worked. Then there was other OTKs, and also I believe that this deck with Fishborg Blaster, when that card was still legal, this deck used to be able to make Quasar Dragon, and it just had a whole bunch of other like crazy plays. It actually got second at 2 YCSs back in the day. Anyways, he's facing off against Crawlers, and this is again going to be a super grindy duel. Fish, you know, Big Fish is a card, if you can get it on the field, you know, somehow easily, it can summon a bunch of monsters. I believe it summons 4 monsters from your deck, or I think it's just like as many level 3 or lower fish monsters as possible, which generally is like 4. He's going to use Diagram. He's going to hit him with that Water True King, pop both of those back row. Neither one of them are activated. Goes for Phantom Sky Blaster, so his entire board is filled with monsters here. Goes for Saryuja Scourge. Oh, that's how he gets it on board. He just special summons it. Okay, fair enough. And you can see he's busting out those little fishies. Trades everything in for Boros Dragon. And I was like, uh-oh, this is this might be going down for real very, very quickly. You better watch out. You might get OTK'd in your first turn. Now, luckily, the Crawler Link monsters do float, and I think they're just difficult to get off the board because, you know, if you attack over them or if you remove them from the field, then your opponent gets other monsters to replace them. And he is going to go for the X Crawler, this one being 3,000 attack, or excuse me, 3,000 defense. Unfortunately, his opponent has Boros Sword, so they can just kind of like run over it, and he got the Crawler Spine. That could pop a card, but instead he decides to go for the Link play. I think he knows that like his Crawler Link monster is going to die, but it will give him 2 more monsters, and I think he just feels like he needs to be incredibly defensive right now. This was a mistake though. So what he did was he used the Nightmare Unicorn to essentially get rid of the Crawler Link. The problem is it's still going to activate. By the way, nice top deck. He drew the Mare, which is obviously terrible, and now he just keeps getting more monsters. Now the Boros Dragon on field obviously helps, but he's slowly kind of stabilizing here. His opponent is going to start drawing multiple cards because of the Nightmare Unicorn, but at least he got Boros Dragon off the field. I mean, that was probably the biggest threat. Crawlers are hella annoying, but his opponent is drawing 2 cards per turn, so at least there's some solace in that situation. He knows that he can't get rid of all his opponent's monsters, but if he draws 2 per turn, he should be able to out-resource him. He goes for the Yazi. This was another mistake. He targets the Deus Ex Crawler, which means it will flip itself up and activate. And now that it is face up on the field, this means that he cannot use any monster effects. And yeah, this is what you don't want to do. You don't ever want to target this thing when it's face down. You got to find some way, make a Boral Low Dragon or something like that, some type of non-targeting removal to get rid of this thing, because this thing does have 3,000 defense, and now he can just kind of sit on it. He keeps trying to activate monster effects, but those are not going to work, and he is still going to be drawing 2 cards per turn. The problem is a lot of decks don't have a legitimate out to this card, especially if you don't run, you know, monsters that are bigger than 3,000 attack, because your monsters won't be able to activate. Most extra decks aren't running cards that are bigger than the Boral cards, so this is one of those cards where, you know, no one really plays monster removal in cards like Regeki or anything like that, so people legitimately don't have like outs to this card, so he ends up scooping. This man has like 8 cards in hand and he can't kill a simple Deus Ex Crawler, and eventually he ends up rage quitting. I mean, I wonder if there was anything left in his deck that could actually out this card. I think that he probably didn't have any legitimate outs, because I can't see a deck like this actually running Spell and Trap unless he had one of his True Kings. But you know what? I don't think the True Kings can ever summon themselves because they activate in the hand, right? And if you can't activate them in the hand, how are you getting them on field? Well, I guess you could you could tribute summon for them, and then with a Dragonic Diagram, maybe the 300 attack. Like, I guess if he runs the Fire True King, because I think that one's 2,900 and it would go to 20 or 32. But if he doesn't run that, if he just runs the water one, then yeah, he was pretty much boned at that point. Anyways, hopefully you guys enjoyed those short duels. If you did, give the video a thumbs up. Thank you guys for watching. As always, subscribe if you have not already, and and turn on that notification bell for daily videos. And you know what? I decided to just go ahead and show you guys the True King Fish OTK build because we were 10 seconds away from that 10-minute ad revenue, so why the heck not? As I thought, there is no Fire True King in here just because the entire deck is water, so I'm like, what are the odds of him running that extra True King? Yeah, there was no out for his deck. He had 0 outs to the Deus Ex Crawler. The only way that he would have been able to out it is if he would have gotten like the Fire True King on board, and then he would have had the 300 attack gain from Dragonic Diagram, but there was no other way. Like, there was nothing else in his extra deck that was actually going to do it. Or maybe, I wonder if he would have had the ability to somehow get, like, this would have been really pushing it, but if he could have made Mistar Boy and then made Trishula after that, that would have been 3,200 attack, because Mistar Boy doesn't activate. Well, at least the 500 attack gain effect is not that's not something that activates, so that would have been able to, you know, pump him up to 3,200. I don't know if, like, that just seems like that would have been incredibly difficult to do, so chances are the Crawler guy would have had like something. But these kind of like big floodgate cards like Inspector Border and Deus Ex Crawler, like, these cards can actually wreck entire decks because people don't really run spell and trap removal and monster removal in the forms of actual spells and traps. Like, everybody just kind of relies on their extra deck. They rely on these cards, the Nightmare cards, to do it, or the Boro cards to be able to out those. And while those cards are awesome, sometimes you end up running into that brick wall and your entire deck can't beat it. But yeah, this was pretty interesting to look at. If you guys have never seen like the engine with like beavers and Nimble Angler and stuff like that, Nimble Manta, you guys got to look those cards up. Phantom Skyblaster made sense in this deck because kind of like a power normal summon. This deck has a lot of special summon extenders. Obviously, Swap Frog is a card that you're probably never really going to normal summon. Your main normal summons is probably just going to be like maybe Genix Undyne. I mean, he's running the Crystron Rosenix to be kind of like the extender with the Genix Undyne, and hopefully you don't draw this, your Genix controller, because I believe if you draw this, then you can't actually resolve the Genix Undyne. I remember that from like the Mermill format. But just another, you know, just like a fun version of a deck from the past. I might actually do a Yu-Gi-Oh story on Fish OTK.